Today I'm Junior Researcher Adam Southgate working under Senior Researcher Dr. Jenkins. This is the 5th in the Order of Merlin's training videos for new and old hunters. I've been asked by the Order, after the last video, to include in all future lessons the Order's broad announcements to increase the likelihood of our hunters hearing them. At the time, I also brought up the possibility of being replaced on this task by a professional, which would have the added benefit of allowing me to return to the research, which is my passion. However, I was informed that there wasn't enough money in the early budget to hire a full-time video producer. Therefore, we're at least for now stuck together. But that's enough of my problems. So, since the events in Bangor, incursions from the Abrahamic sphere have for the time being slowed. However, incursions from the other spheres have quickly risen to fill the deficit. The entropic sphere, as always, remains ever-present and unchanged. However, the Fey, Eldritch and Abomination spheres are breaching more regularly, so expect more contracts related to them in the near future. The Order has decided to capitalize on this by building up our stock of MMBs, so the bounty on Fey Wisp crystals have been suitably increased. The Order has also asked that David Jones please stop returning MMBs as unused. They may only have light trauma, but they are still linked to you, and therefore can't be used by any other person. This behavior will not be tolerated. But anyway, today's lesson will be more specialized, focusing directly upon the Fey changeling. As such, we will not be making use of our Apprentice Hunter's notebook. Instead, I will include photographs relating to the topic at hand. I hope this will give some clarity to what we're discussing. The Fey changeling, or the cuckoo fairy, is a Fey creature that, like the cuckoo bird, is a brood parasite. Preying on new single-child families, the expecting changeling parents will search for homes where the newborn sleeps in a separate room to the parents. Once the target has been located, the Fey couple will break into the home, usually around the time of 3 a.m. Whether by instinct or strategy, we are unsure. The changeling mother will then give birth to the new Fey while the father dispatches the human baby. The newborn changeling will then devour its adopted sibling, and its juvenile glamour will activate. This creates a near-perfect disguise for the newborn changeling, allowing it to fully blend into its new, unwilling adopted family. We are still unsure how this process is achieved without leaving a large amount of blood behind, though especially where the Fey are concerned, logic really isn't applicable. At this point, the Fey parents will leave their newborn and won't see it again until it reaches roughly the age of 16. The young Fey's mind will enter a dormant state where any knowledge of who or what it is will be locked away, leaving the changeling with the wholehearted belief that it is human as it grows and matures. As a child, the Fey will struggle to connect with human children, often leaving it in a state of isolation, which we believe to be by design, though it will keep a strong relationship with its adopted parents until its final years with them. Around the age of 16, it will become distant and withdrawn, even from the humans that raised it, as its mind activates and the changeling begins to be drawn to a specific location. The changeling will leave its adopted home at the dead of night, making its way to its true parents' grotto via some kind of instinct. Once there, it will violently shed its juvenile glamour while its true parents eat the human skin that it casts away. Shortly after, the now adult changeling will take part in its nuptial flight, where it will find a partner and the cycle can begin again. Thankfully for us, we do have a slight defense, as the juvenile glamour isn't fully perfect like the adult glamour. In 10% of cases, a young Fey can be revealed via photograph, as their face in the picture will be perfectly or near perfectly symmetrical. Oddly enough, we have also found that a juvenile changeling's glamour will decay if it is aware of its nature. As with breathing, their glamour appears to be an autonomic function, and just like with breathing, if you are reminded you're doing it, you begin manually breathing. The main benefit of this is that their glamour doesn't fully recover until they've reached full maturity. For adult changelings, their glamour is perfect, meaning the only point where they can be eliminated is either while they attempt brood parasitism or by following a newly matured changeling to its parent's grotto. Both these methods for dealing with adult changelings are highly dangerous, as they will become hyper-aggressive to protect their young, attacking with reckless abandon. This is why our main strategy for dealing with them is to capture them while they're young. We are actively working to improve our detection abilities so that eventually, due to the adults dying off from old age, we will reduce their numbers to only new incursions. This is also the reason school photos were originally introduced to aid in overall detection. A large issue obviously arises when dealing with what are, as close as anyone can tell, children. Simple elimination, apart from the emotional strain and therefore the increased consumption of MMBs, runs the risk of false positives being killed. It is extremely rare, however, on occasion, young children with abnormally symmetrical faces have been mistaken for changelings. So, to avoid these incidences, an international program was started. Ecoideon School, originally established in 1894, is an international boarding school founded by Mary Suttner. However, all of the students are changelings. Instead of elimination, hunters around the world now work with local governments to apprehend these young fae, fabricating their deaths to give closure to their human parents. We attempt to make this process as humane for the children as possible, trying to avoid unnecessary emotional distress. Once they arrive, all are informed of what they are to allow their glamour to decay. They will then receive an education at the level of the most elite boarding schools. In fact, the Fae children are treated like any other child until the age of 16, when each are placed in a solitary confinement chamber, designed to mimic a standard bedroom. Here they are kept under observation with the guise of quarantine due to an infectious disease. Those that molt their human skin will be eliminated, while those that do not will be kept within their quarantine for 5 more years. This is due to the rare cases of a changeling being able to maintain its glamour even after becoming aware of its nature. Unfortunately, human children who are taken accidentally are kept until all possibility of molting has passed. Obviously, due to the knowledge about the Fae these children would have gained, they will never be able to live a normal life. As such, they will usually be trained to work directly for one of the organizations around the world. I myself am once a child and don't believe it has done me any great harm, though I do have issues with small enclosed spaces. This entire process may seem rather cold, however, Fae changelings are far more of an existential threat than they first appear. In the small village of Canol Unman, in West Wales, 2 Fae changelings over 50 years managed to completely depopulate the town. It began as normal, the changelings leaving their young throughout the village with new families. However, as the number of new parents dwindled and the population aged, the now massive colony of changelings descended on the village, devouring their once adopted parents. Thankfully, due to hunters like you keeping the numbers low, instances like this are rather rare, but vigilance can never be allowed to slip. But I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you take this lesson to heart, with Arthur's might and Merlin's wisdom. Thank you.